Ken Roczen's dream run toward his first Monster Energy Supercross title. Another big step for the win in Philadelphia. But if the weather clears, now they'll be racing in elevation in Denver in the drying. Can Hunter Lawrence fight back? Lawrence versus Roczen versus the world. We have your preview. Yeah, welcome to SMX Insider. We are the Jasons, Wygant, and Thomas. 2 rounds remain in the Monster Energy Supercross leg of the SMX World Championship. We already said it doesn't get much better than this. A week ago, there was 1 point between Hunter Lawrence and Ken Roczen. It's 4 points to the good for Roczen now. It's still very much up in the air. And maybe that's the key factor, JT. When a guy wins 4 out of 5, like Roczen has, it would appear that this is just an unstoppable freight train. But these races have been so close, it's still in the margins. I think it could turn again here going into Denver.
Yeah, I really do believe this thing is still wide open, and that 4 out of 5 is a compelling stat. Don't get me wrong, but I do believe that Hunter Lawrence is still right there, and I think that looking at the next 2 rounds, I think they favor Hunter Lawrence. I think he's going to win at least 1 out of the next 2, and I kind of look at it like this, Weech. Sport of tennis, there's a thing called deuce, right? They both get to 40, and then you have to win multiple points to win the game. I think it's kind of advantage Ken, but I really think it's still deuce, and it's anybody's match right now for this championship.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at strictly from a numbers perspective, if they split and score the exact same points in the next 2 rounds, Roczen wins the title. That's a big advantage. But could Hunter win the next 2? Absolutely. Could someone get in between him and Roczen, like Cooper Webb just did? Absolutely. But whether it works out for Roczen or not, you got to tip the visor. He was pushing back hard midway through this season on people that say he fades late in the year. I think there was worries. Would the pressure get to him physically, mentally? What would happen? Whether he wins this or not, he's already proven 100%. You can't get a more pressure situation than rain on the gate with these stakes. And man, he absolutely pulled through.
Yeah, champion or not, this has been his best season ever. And could I prove that? I don't know. Maybe there are numbers that would prove that out. But I do believe it. I believe it was better than 19. I believe it was better than 21. I think this is the most compelling season for Ken Roczen, regardless of what it looks like after 21 minutes in Salt Lake City.
And talk about that pressure, man. You and I were bench racing before we started the show, and I'm thinking what the emotions must be like for these riders on the line when it's raining with the points hanging in the balance. But you said, oh, no. This is not a on the starting gate thing by this point in the season.
No, this is every waking second of the day. This is all encompassing. It's all absorbing. Every ounce of bandwidth that their mind has becomes sucked into this championship vortex. And when you see guys after a championship have this letdown, they struggle maybe the first couple of rounds of Pro Motocross. It's because of this. It's because of months of stress melting away. And I think it takes time to recover from that. So yes, these are really difficult days and nights for these guys. And trust me, there's no other place they'd rather be than in this championship fight. But the point is, it takes a tremendous toll on just their mental well-being. It's a really tough thing.
Okay, if you're going to watch this weekend's next to last Supercross round, that is from Denver. The traditional times here, doesn't matter what time zone the race is in. 1 o'clock Eastern time, that's going to be Race Day Live qualifying coverage. You know that's extra important. Everything's more important in a stretch run like this. And then the racing starts at 7 o'clock Eastern time on Saturday. Of course, you can watch it live on Peacock or the SMX Video Pass outside the United States. These are 2 international riders, by the way, going for this 450 Supercross title. And again, there will be a Sunday encore this weekend on NBC. Why not tell everyone you know to get in on what's going to be an epic final 2 rounds of this championship. And here's a reminder that SMX Betting and DFS Gaming back in 2026, so you can scan that flow code on the screen right now. New sports book bonuses and prop markets are live right now. So scan that flow code or go to nxtbets.com/playsmx and see what's available in your area. Always play responsibly. We're going to talk about this a little more in depth later in the show, JT, but these conditions going from 2 mud races to elevation here in harder packed dirt, that could affect things.
Yeah, I think this plays right into Hunter Lawrence's hands. So if you're looking at those NXT bets, you know, he was the guy in Nashville, and I'm not saying that Nashville is going to be just like Denver, but I think it's going to be the closest conditions we've seen to that in a while, and I think Hunter could be the guy.
Okay, 30-second board. Hot topics in the sport. International is because yet another international racer has become a champion in Monster Energy Supercross. That's New Zealand's Cole Davies. JT and I, we've been around a while. When you realize that he's the second New Zealand champ, and we're like, oh yeah, Ben Townley won. Well, dude, that was almost 20 years ago, which is sad and shocking all at once. And then this 450 title, Cooper Webb's still mathematically in it, but it's pretty obvious it's going to come down to either Lawrence or Roxon. That's an Australian and a German rider. So just more accolades for the non-American set.
It's incredible. Look at just the rundown of riders near the front, especially in that 450 class. It's a who's who internationally of racing around the world. And, you know, again, I've been asked about, well, you guys only race domestically, but you have this world championship moniker. And I'm like, take a look at the entry list. Take a look at the results. That is why it's a world championship, is because it is the best of the best racers. They want to be in this championship, and we're all the benefactors of this. We are getting truly the best talent pool you could imagine.
Yeah, and that rolls right into the dominant run of Cole Davies. We've been showing the stats on the television show each weekend. For a second-year pro, his stats as far as wins and podiums are right up there with anyone ever. He was fast right from the get-go. I mean, literally, when people saw him at press day for Anaheim 1 last year, number 100, I don't even know how many people realized he was even turning pro at that time, but people noticed. There is just something special about the riding of Davies. Now he's stamped it with a title, but this is can I say for an international rider, this is an otherworldly talent. And now he's officially proven he can go the distance too.
Yeah, and realistically, if you went back 2 years ago when he was winning, you know, the SMX Next, which was formerly Supercross Futures, I wasn't that impressed. Yes, he was doing well. Yes, I knew he was kind of the top of the class there, but he made such a huge jump at the beginning of 2025. When I watched him in Anaheim 1, I was like, who and what happened there? Because it was a monumental step forward. And still, I don't know what the difference was. Was it switching to the Monster Yamaha Star Racing team? Was it just the natural, like, you know, monumental, like that quantum leap that you see some people take that there's really no explanation for? It's just their time to kind of blossom. Point is, I don't really need to know why, but this guy is for real. He's turning in some of the best results on a stat comparison that we've ever seen, to be this good, this early. And you have to just believe sky's the limit. And yes, we want to like talk about, well, he's not as good as Deegan. Of course he's not. Look at how much more time Deegan has had to develop and turn into the racer he is now. And I would even say a year ago, Deegan wasn't this guy. If you put Davies out there right now versus Deegan a year ago, it would be a pretty fair fight. Truly, I believe it was. So who knows what Cole Davies will look like in 2027, because it has been nothing but a vertical progression for the better part of 18 months now.
Yeah, you had Seth Hamaker, who nearly won the 250 East title last year, saying, I think I was better than I was last year, and I've actually scored more points this year than I did last year. But man, he just ran into a buzzsaw, and this is only a second-year pro. So yes, sky is the limit. Congrats to Davies and the family and their journey to get over here and make this happen. Probably going to be the first of many. And then we go to this rolling Yamaha win streak. Hamaker's the only non-Yamaha 250 winner this year. Still, Yamaha has now tied the all-time mark for wins in the small bike, either 125 or 250F class. They have 2 shots at breaking that record that was actually set not that long ago by Honda, basically thanks to the Lawrence brothers in 2023 and Kawasaki during a run of dominance for the Pro Circuit squad. But 2 races to go. I like their odds, especially because they'll be bringing Deegan back the next 2 weekends.
Yeah, and I would throw this at you. When you look at that Honda number, that was arguably the 2 best racers in the world putting those stats up in Jet Lawrence and Hunter Lawrence, okay? So now we have, and I know there's a little bit of smattering other people, Thrasher's in there, but Cole Davies and Hayden Deegan are the ones that are putting up these huge numbers. Who's to say in 2 or 3 years they are not 2 of the best racers on the planet? That's what the numbers would say. You want to draw a parallel from those Honda days to the Yamaha days now. It's painting a picture that those 2 are on the precipice of doing something very special over the next 5 years.
That's great things on the horizon for them. But every couple of weeks, we check in on one of the new teams in the mix, and that is the Troy Lee Designs Red Bull Ducati team. And you were talking to them for this week's Ducati Download.
Well, this week on SMX Insider, we have our Ducati download. It's back. And I have Dave Casella, who is head of Ducati North America Off-Road. And Dave, there's a fantastic program that I have just learned about that you guys have been working on, the Real World program with NYU. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So this is an iconic program that NYU started, and it's a Real World program where these grad students actually work with iconic brands like Ducati, where they get to come and have real life experiences behind the scenes, where we show them the real culture of everything going on and give them an internal look of what goes on in our industry here.
I know this may be a difficult question, but how does something like this get started? Because I'm imagining you pitching this to NYU as Ducati and they're being like, wait, what? So can you give me any context about how something like this comes together?
Our CEO, Jason Chinnock, and our head of marketing, Phil, those guys reached out to NYU, and through their, talking and all that, it just came together. Like the professor there was like, how great could this be to work with a brand like Ducati that's going into something extremely different from the street division, right? I mean, our off-road division could not be any different from the street division.
So when you're talking to these younger people, our industry, this off-road industry is so passionate, and we all kind of are intertwined in this family, but this is a completely different group of people, right? Have you heard of any ideas or anything that kind of surprised you from them, or things that maybe ideas that have come outside the box a little bit?
And that's exactly what we're looking for, JT. You just nailed it. We're looking for out of the box and a different take on marketing views of how, we should approach off-road going forward. I haven't heard anything crazy yet because they're just getting on board today for this tour and behind the scenes. But I am looking forward to see what they have to say.
Well, exciting program. I think things like this I've never heard of anything like this. Yeah. A university as prestigious as NYU being involved. Great addition to the SuperMotocross family.
Okay, from one new team to a still fairly new team, and that is Triumph. Now, it has been a rough season for Triumph on the pro side, but there is a silver lining to this. Deacon Deno, kid they picked up out of the amateur ranks after the Loretta Lynn's national championship last year, worked with them through the offseason, and now he has delivered. Got a win in SMX Next already, and then the big one is the race that just took place in Philadelphia. That's the national championship, and he came through. So they got a little gem there with Deacon Deno.
Yeah, and I think they needed this. It's been a tough 2026 for this Triumph team. Joey Swoll, just an unbelievable another setback with the Achilles for him. And then Jordan Smith, he's making this fledgling attempt on the 450. There's been some highlights, but there's been a lot of crashing in there too. So sometimes the bright spot comes from the most unlikely place, and that's what it feels like for Deacon Deno. He goes out, he wins the SMX National Championship. Sounds like he's going to be on the starting line in Paula for the Pro Motocross opener. So yeah, sometimes you just need someone to step up, and it feels like Deacon Deno has done that, and maybe, again, the most unlikely person to lead the team feels like he's out in front of this thing.
Okay, amongst this great championship battle going on in the 450 class, also taking place is the annual auction. This is Love Moto Stop Cancer with St. Jude. The auction is now live. This is a lot of gear, graphics, and parts custom made for the Love Moto Stop Cancer race that took place a couple of weeks ago. Go to supercrosslive.com/St. Jude and you can get in on the auction. That's going to go till right after the Salt Lake City finale. Also, Ken Roxon's bike, his race bike, which the value just keeps increasing. This could now be a championship bike. All the money donated there also goes to St. Jude. You can win his race bike. Just text Suzuki to 99126. That's Suzuki to 99126, and you get entered. They want to get well into the six figures just for the bike donations alone. And the auction, JT, and you work with one of the gear companies over at Fly Racing. There's some really one-off, unique stuff that fans can get.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, because I like the unique aspects of this. There are things that you're just not going to get other places. I think about like those guitars. We saw them get given away for podium trophies in Nashville, but there's some of that type of thing that's in these auctions where, listen, we live and breathe this stuff. We're, involved in the broadcast. I still look at these things and I'm like, I might have to throw down a bid on some of this stuff, because I don't know that I could get my hands on some of these things. So it's, again, the cause could not be any better. This is truly changing people's lives. And then the items that you're bidding on it takes it to a whole new level.
Let's jump back into this 450 championship fight. We've been saying this for probably the last 8 races now. What's making this championship fight interesting, at one point we thought it was Lawrence v. Tomac. Now it's Lawrence v. Roxon. But it's that other riders are still able to get in there and steal points. At one point, we thought Roczen was one of the spoilers. He stole so many points that he's moved all the way into the points lead. But we just saw again Cooper Webb finish second ahead of Hunter Lawrence. And then this, Mitchell Harrison gets called out by Roczen in the press conference for being difficult to lap. And Mitchell Harrison, a little Instagram story here, nothing huge, but just enough to send a message that he is now rooting for Hunter Lawrence. Now, does that mean he's going to get in Roczen's way on purpose? I don't know, but it's certainly something for Roczen to think about. So between determined guys like Webb, angry guys who could go a lap down like Harrison, I don't know, maybe even Tomac comes back. He could come back and race this weekend. We're not sure as we record this. This is not the normal scenario.
No, it's not. And this feels very different than last year's championship between Chase Sexton and Cooper Webb, because you could almost guarantee that they were going to go 1-2. And I know that's easy to say in hindsight because guys like Justin Cooper and guys like Malcolm Stewart were coming on late. I understand that. But in the end, look at the results and it kind of bore that out where we knew what we were going to get. This feels different. Cooper Webb is certainly not giving up on this championship. And if you told me that Webb won one of the next two, that wouldn't surprise me at all. So what felt like it was playing into Hunter Lawrence's hands where he could get some guys in between and get some separation may go the other way. Maybe that plays to the benefit of Ken Roczen, just like it did in Philadelphia. It feels more of a story than it has in recent years, where the points could be determined not only between the two protagonists, but by other people getting in between them as well.
Hey, this is literally the reason that Roczen was able to make up 31 points in a little over a month, because there was no guarantee that anyone else was just going to automatically finish second, which was kind of what we saw last year. So that just makes this even more intriguing, as if the two riders at the top aren't enough. Let's just show you some 450 points here and give you an idea what we're talking about. Look, as long as Cooper Webb remains in range, he is just within one race in points. He's not going to give up. That was the most angry Cooper Webb I've seen all year there in Philadelphia. I got to talk to him on the Pulp MX show on Monday, and he said, yeah, he still considers Roczen his rival. Maybe he's been a little too nice and too respectful throughout the year, and he's trying to get back to his old ways when he was winning a lot of races. And then Tomac, Jay Coop wants a podium. Oh, hey, we're not even mentioning Chase Sexton. That's a lot of guys that can get in there.
Yeah, it's truly wide. And to your point about Cooper Webb, he's not thrilled being third in the championship. He's not thrilled that he keeps coming up just a tad bit short. It's not like he's getting blown away. It's these second place finishes where he's just right on the cusp, right? A shortened race, which I know he felt like a standard length race. Maybe he wins there in Philadelphia. But I have to say this because I believe it. When you look at the championship, I think Cooper Webb's in third for a reason. I just think most of the time he's been the second or third best guy on the racetrack. And if you do that week in and week out, you're not the best guy enough times, you're going to lose points. You're going to let things slip through your fingers. That's not condemnation. That's just reality. Go back and look at the data. Look at the lap times. Look at the results. Early on in the season, those 4th, 5th, 6th, those caught up to him. And now, instead of winning the races where it really matters, like a Philadelphia or a Cleveland, he's getting second or third. And that's where the championships get determined, is instead of winning like he did in 2025, he's just a tick off of that in 2026. It's probably going to be why he doesn't win this championship.
All right, time for the SMX medical update. We bring in the good Dr. Joe McGinley from the McGinley Clinic, helping out the Privateer Support Program, Club MX, and other racers throughout the pits. We got a topic that you know very well. So we were joking with you months ago. You were trying to climb Everest. You were training for that. Okay, going to Denver and Salt Lake, not quite that level of altitude or elevation, but it does have an effect on athletes. What can you say in brief about what riders are going to have to be prepared for this weekend and next?
It'll have to be considered, that's for sure. Denver is approximately a mile high, so 5,000 feet of elevation. If you're coming from sea level, you are going to feel it. So for riders that are coming in and they're going to be competing at a sprint level, so you want to really take this seriously and make sure you're prepped for that elevation change. So a couple ways of doing it. First is arrival time. If you have the luxury of doing it, coming in early and acclimatizing to that elevation, that's going to be key. So 5 to 7 days is usually ideal. That would be the best case scenario. or coming in, day of race or the night before the race, so your body is not as shocked with the elevation change when you're out there competing. So that's going to be the first step. And then from there, it's going to be body maintenance and preparation for the race. No matter what, everyone, fans that are coming in from different elevations, you want to make sure you hydrate. You want to have at least 1.5 to 2x your normal hydration level, and that includes electrolytes, because you're losing fluid at a faster rate, your respiration's higher, so you're going to dehydrate a lot faster at that elevation. That's the number one thing that you can do to help make sure you have a successful day. Getting beyond that, there's other options that are less, return on investment, but nutrition, so switching more to a carb diet. It's easier to process, it's more oxidative. That's going to be better than, fiber and things that are a little bit harder on your gut to process. That'll be helpful. And then warming up. You want to warm up about 15 minutes or so at least before the race. You want to have a light sweat. You want to make sure your body's ready to go. And then finally, this is a hard one to recommend, but first few laps out there, you want to start easy, quote unquote. You don't want to sprint right off the start. You're going to spike your heart rate. You're going to increase your lactate levels. It's going to be hard to recover from elevation. Now, I don't expect anyone at all to listen to that last one, but theoretically, that's helpful. And, if you go at least 1 or 2 laps at a quote unquote moderate pace, that'll help for the rest of the race once you get back out there.
So, a lot of riders back in my day of racing, they would sleep in, altitude tents. I don't know the technical term for that, but they would be trying to, get themselves to produce more red blood cells, I think, in the end. Is there anything to that would help this week, or does that need to be more of an off-season training thing that would benefit there?
That's what I do, JT. When I'm training for the mountains, that's how we can do these rapid ascents. And actually, I do it for any training for any athletic event I'm participating in, even if I'm going to sea level, because you're absolutely right. Those tents are highly effective. I tracked my blood levels when I was doing this, and my hemoglobin hematocrit went up for sure. You can see it, you can track it as it goes along. Doing it within just a few days before the race, again, if you're within that 5 to 7 day range, then maybe it'll have some effectiveness. If you want to do that in preparation for one of these races, whether it's the Denver Supercross or Thunder Valley National, you'll want to do that at least a couple weeks ahead of time to make sure that you have maximal effectiveness. If you start it right now, that's not going to be much help, but even a week or two of planning on that can be helpful for sure. When I'm doing it for the mountains, I'm doing it months ahead of time, and I have a clear performance improvement when I'm in those tents.
Yep, and they're not going to be listening to you about that early lap sprint stuff. Definitely not Ken Roczen. That's where he makes his money. I don't think he's going to be conservative at all, not with the title on the line. We'll see how this affects the racers this weekend. That's really good info. Thanks, Doctor.
Yeah, all I can do is give advice. Whether they listen to it or not, that's up to them.
Okay, well, we've analyzed the 5,000 feet of elevation there in Denver. Let's analyze more specifically the racetrack, JT.
Yeah, Denver's a unique one because of the way this dirt races. Really, I think it hurts Cooper Webb the most. You want to add another insult to injury, look at 2 whoop sections, which probably won't play into Cooper Webb's hands. So I just don't love this setup necessarily for Webb. But the other guys, I think Hunter Lawrence and Ken Roczen will both like what they see. I talk about this sometimes too. If you look at other tracks in the past, they're not exactly the same, but they rhyme. And look at that section that crosses over the start multiple times. We had this set up earlier in 2026. It's also the same thing we had in Detroit of 2023. So you can find these little nuances where the track designers have reincorporated something from the past that they either liked or they thought worked out well. So the dirt is going to be story number 1, rain in the forecast leading up to it, but it's going to be really hard and slippery, I think, on Saturday. And then the 2 whoop sections is a nuance we haven't had very often in 2026.
Oh, I like it. With conviction, with the bold predictions from JT. Here's how you can watch it. Once again, Race Day Live qualifying coverage will begin at 1 o'clock Eastern Time on Saturday, and then the racing starts at 7 o'clock Eastern Time Saturday night, 7 Eastern. Watch live on Peacock or the SMX Video Pass if you're outside the United States. And there will be an encore Sunday afternoon on NBC. Big thanks to NBC for giving encore Sunday afternoon shows throughout this stretch championship run in Monster Energy Supercross. And then, as if this isn't exciting enough, we know it's all leading to the beginning of Pro Motocross and Jet Lawrence and his return and Hayden Deegan moving up. JT, you know that a 450 championship is cooking when Hayden Deegan is about to return to the races. He had a couple weekends off to the Racing East. He's already wrapped up the title. Dare I say that Deegan is an afterthought? I never thought this was possible, but that's how exciting this 450 battle is.
Yeah, and I'm actually really interested to see kind of where Hayden's at with this 250 race. He's so good that I think he will likely win anyway, but I can't imagine that he's like super invested in this Denver race. The title's done. He's been, like, if you watch socials or YouTube, he's just been hammering down on the 450. So again, his talent and skill is probably going to lead him to the front this weekend, but mentally, I wonder how much of him will be in Denver versus how much of his mind is already thinking about Paula.
That's right. And we welcome back all the other stars of the West, Anstey, Kitchen, and more. That should be fun to have 250 West back in action. But at the top headline, no doubt, this championship fight, one of the best ever and some of the greatest stories ever, if either Roxon or Lawrence pulls it off, because it'll be the first Supercross title for either one of them. And maybe get Eli Tomac back. I don't know. Very interesting. Thanks for watching SMX Insider. Enjoy the racing from Denver as the championship run is on.